I may end up looking like you. I'll never be like you.
All right, so next project. Again, I think I've shown this off, but this is the same family as the C96 that I used for the dart gun, and I already pulled the grips off. I'll probably take it apart even more, but this is going to be the 10mm pistol, so we'll see how this goes. I figured this be a good place for an update. Got the grip sorted out, same with the magazine. I just added a little handle to it. This is JB plastic weld and the plastic wood filler or whatever. That little button there is actually the top screw, the handle scale. I just repurposed it to be the little greeble for the grip. The hole lines up. It was dumb luck. You know, you try to line things up, but eventually you're just gonna have to glue it and see if it works out. And it worked out, so still works. I'll put more layers on it because it's got more layers on it, but the general shape is turning out okay. Had to extend the magazine release. There's just a little resin cabochon on there. I wasn't able to hit the magazine release very well. So yeah, we'll keep going. We, of course, being me. Yeah. All right, quick update before I hit it with primer. This is the completed version. There's some things that could possibly use some, like filling in the back, maybe putting in that lever, but you got the 1911 slide release, so I guess that kind of suffices for it. The sight is a little bit big, but this actually has a little fiber optic tube that goes in there, so I kind of wanted to use that, which means I had to make the rear sight bigger to accommodate, but that's okay. Gesturally, I'd say it's pretty darn close. Hopefully a little bit closer once I get some primer and paint on it, but that's where I stand with that. So after that first coat of primer, I just gave it a quick wipe with some aluminum powder. It's an old tried and true method that I use to get something kind of metallic looking, but I think this is my end finish. I'll go with this. Obviously, I'll add some rust and some detailing and stuff, and the grip obviously is going to be brown. Yeah, I didn't paint in there because that's where the moving parts are, and I didn't want to mess with the cycling of it, but I really like this. Like, for reals this time, I'm not going to strip it like I did with the dart gun. Unless I do. In that case, I'm a dirty, filthy liar. The aluminum powder that I use is literally just 350 grit sandpaper doing this, this, and this. Not much to it. Anyway, moving on. So this is how I did the handle scales. Taped off the shape with some masking tape, brushed on some 2-part epoxy, and then sprinkled on some silicone carbonate, which is just kind of a grit. And it's like powdered glitter, so you gotta be careful how you use that. Good glitter control. And then on top of that, once it cured, and I just brushed on some Mod Podge to seal it in. And now it's drying. It'll look better once it's dried. It's kind of a creamy mess right now. I made this target just for the short. Those are the 3 recognizable characters that were killed by the 10mm pistol. That's pretty much it. So here it is finished. I thought it turned out remarkably well. It didn't take me long, like maybe a couple of days over Labor Day weekend. It was really just taking the base model, which was that cheap-ass gun, literally 2 for $15. But yeah, it was just taking the base gun and just gluing stuff to it. But it ended up looking pretty cool in the end. Magazine goes in and out nice and smooth and stuff, and honestly, it's not a bad piece. Here's some of the rusting. Kept it pretty subtle. I didn't want to go too big. The sight, I pulled it off of that green gun. It has that little fiber optic sight, which I really like. One of those little things that I added to it to personalize it and make it my own. Said earlier that this is the aluminum powder that I just rubbed on, and then I hit it with a frost coat. I've mentioned it before in other videos that I like using frost because it's a perfectly flat finish as opposed to this, which is a matte finish, but it still comes up glossy. There is a place for that, but at the same time, if I just want flat, I'll use a frost. I specifically chose not one of the little pea shooters that I have. I got a bunch of them, but I didn't like using those. Like when I did the Lawgiver, yeah, it's cool, but it messes with the cycling just with this little piece of Sintra on here. And this is about what I would be putting on here, if not a little bit more on this one, which again would mess with the cycling, and that's really annoying, so I didn't do that. So I just went with the even cheaper version. Funny little note, these are about the same size as an actual 45 slug, which is 12 millimeters. So this in essence isn't a 10 millimeter, it's a 12 millimeter, which I'm fine with. Whew. The one thing that I really like about this one is that unlike the C96, this one actually has a lot more power to it. I mean, it's still a cheap plastic toy which only fires like 15 feet, but comparatively, it's a hell of a lot stronger than the dart gun. Kind of just wanted to see if I was accurate when I said 15 feet earlier, so that's 15 feet right there. At an altitude of, let's say, 2 feet, we can go up to 3 feet. And maximum angle, 45 degrees. Let's see if we can hit the cabinet. Just barely. I think it actually hit right at the end of the tape measure. I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to say about this.